Nigeria is currently the sixth most afflicted country in the world by organized crime. This according to the 2023 Global Organized Crime Index study, which indicated that Nigeria continues to struggle with a number of security issues as well as corruption and other criminal activities. According to the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime study, organized crime has become more prevalent in Nigeria by 0.13 percentage points. Nigeria placed second in Africa and sixth overall with a score of 7.28 out of 10. Behind the Democratic Republic of Congo, that scored 7.35, and ahead of South Africa with a score of 7.18. Now topping the global chart are Mexico, Colombia, and Myanmar. Nigeria was ranked fifth with a score of 7.14 points in 2021, which was the most recent year the data was made public. Financial crimes and human trafficking are the most prevalent criminal activities captured in the survey. They are closely followed by drugs and arms trafficking. Kidnapping and violent secessionist movements in the eastern part of Nigeria, banditry in the north, and the recurring spate of crude oil theft kept high occurrence in the survey for Nigeria. Joining us tonight on the news to make better sense of all of this, we're joined by the head of strategy and public affairs at Nairametrics, Uade, Ahimie. A warm welcome to you.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, Uade. First and foremost, not many Nigerians will easily understand what this sort of reports means. Can you help us break it down as much as possible?
Also, let me start by saying that, like you mentioned earlier, this is a report that comes from the Global Initiative Against Organized Crime. It started in 2021 after the COVID, and they started looking at the different levels of organized crime across countries. About 400 experts across the world were participants to putting this together. And they look at it from two aspects. One, the level of criminality. And under the level of criminality, there are two sets of index that are used to measure, which is the criminal markets, some of which you have mentioned, financial crimes, human trafficking, and then the criminal actors. Those are the people who are really behind them. And the number of indicators, there are about 12 of them. The number of them would include things like mafia style, just to mention a few. So that way, what they do is to look at criminal networks and the number of them. So what they do is to look at the level of criminality and organized crime within a country and see the level of resilience that is in place, which includes things like the state of the judiciary, the kind of policies that are put in place, the level of leadership, and so on. So Nigeria placed sixth overall in the world, and they were number 2 in Africa.
Now, Uade, one challenge is getting the import of this sink and accepting the credibility of this survey, because people will argue with you that, no, we're not as corrupt as this. And what's the methodology behind this survey? How transparent is it? Why should we believe something that was published in the West? Now, can you talk us through how this survey is carried out, its methodology, and perhaps its transparency in it? How much weight does this carry, and is it something that we should be worried about?
I do think the methodology does make sense, because what you do is look at the level of crime or perceived crime within countries. From the survey, about 83% of the world's population live in areas with high criminal activity. You mentioned Mexico. We've seen the level of insecurity in Nigeria from one side of the border to the other. So what then is done is look at the kind of the kind of people that are within that context. The report actually did mention a gang that is, a cult. Well, people some say it's a cult, some say it's neo-social movements. The Black Acts was mentioned in the report, and they were responsible for a number of areas, financial crime, drug trafficking, and they were on the high index. So it does mean that, like I said, over 400 experts from across the world. I don't have the full details of the data of the experts, but it does just goes to show to me that they did take their time, and it's a new initiative that came up in 2021, which was the first report that came out, and this is 2022. In 2021, what was noticed was human trafficking was at the #1, but today it's financial crimes.
So there are more indices that have been added to the methodology.
Yeah, there were 12 before now. This year they added 3, which was 1, financial crimes, participation of state actors within the financial, within the crime horizon.
Yes. Uade, before I let you go, it's very important for us to not just talk about the problems, but look at possible solutions. Nigeria is the second country in Africa with the highest level of criminality, according to this survey. Quite damning report, to say the least. What are your recommendations, if you can, in less than a minute? I would appreciate, and how this ugly development can be reversed.
I think a few things that need to be done, aside from speaking about policy, actually implementing policy, improving the judicial and crime management system, the security apparatus. We've seen it across Nigeria over the last 10 to 15 years with Boko Haram and the insurgents and so on. So particular attention needs to be paid to the security architecture and improve it towards coordination, better information collation, and then applying those things in reality on a day-to-day basis.
I mean, it's not rocket science. These are very achievable things that can be done given the political willpower. Thank you very much, Uade. Ahimie, Head of Strategy and Public Affairs at Nairametrics. We do appreciate your contribution, and thanks for joining us in Nigeria Tonight.
Thank you for having me.